Hey y'all, one of the reasons you're still leaking is because somewhere deep down you feel like you need to be strong and you need to just tighten things up to stop those leaks. But the truth is, leak does not always equal weak. In today's video, I'm going to share with you why that mindset actually keeps you leaking and my 3 S's that you need to be a part of any plan to stop the leaks. So let's get into it. So we'll get started with my 3 S's. These are the things that I believe you really need to be a part of any plan to stop the leaks. So these are the things that have to be deep rooted within you and part of that mindset shift, and they go along well with any exercise. And so number one, or my first S, is shift. My second S is sync, and my third S is sustain. So we'll get started with number one, shift. So there has to be a perspective shift or a mindset shift, however we want to categorize it, when it comes down to really any pelvic health problem. But in today's video, we're specifically talking about leakage. And the reason why that has to happen is because there are some really deep-rooted beliefs that women have that actually keep them in the cycle of leaks. And so this can go anywhere from, oh, I've had more than one kid. I thought this was just a part of having children, or my mom leaks. Oh, this is just a laughing joke between me and all of my girlfriends. All of us leak when we laugh, cough, or sneeze. And so there has to be a mindset shift of believing, truly believing that this is not normal. And so even though everything around you says it's normal, all the commercials say that you need pads, there has to be something within you and something that you've read, you've seen, that you truly believe that, yeah, like this isn't a part of life. And like even statistically and scientifically, like women are not supposed to leak because they've had children. And so although everything around you says otherwise, we have to lean into what is normal, what is proven, and what our bodies are capable of. And one of the main reasons why this mindset shift has to happen is because if you believe that, oh, I just need to tighten things up, or I need to strengthen things, to stop leaks, or you believe that this is just what your body does, then you're going to have a really hard time with any of the strategies that are being introduced to you to stop leaking. Because leaking isn't, again, like I mentioned earlier, leaking isn't just about muscles being weak. Sometimes there's a lot more going on, or I should say a lot of times there is something else going on that isn't just in the bottom layer of weakness. And so once you can digest that and understand that, then you can be open to all the outside factors that are contributing to your leakage that have nothing to do with your muscle strength. And so, yes, there are some people who just have true basic weakness, but there are also those who carry tension in the pelvic floor. So if strength isn't your problem, this is why Kegels can be something that's harmful, or it can be very agitating to women who leak, because your pelvic floor does more than just tighten muscles. And so again, that mindset shift has to happen where you're truly educated on what your body does, what it's supposed to do, and what needs to be a part of your plan to stop the leaks. Now, my second S is sync, and this is probably one of my favorite components of this video because this is where I believe all of the magic happens. So sync is where everything starts to come into alignment, where your stress management, your rest and recovery plan, all of these things start to work together to support your pelvic health. And so this is where all the strategies you've learned just become a way of being for you. This is a part of a lifelong change that you do to not only support your pelvic health, but your overall health. So this is where your nutrition matters, the hours of sleep that you're getting, you just don't sacrifice anymore. You start to prioritize rest, recovery, and also stress management. And the reason, I should say, what happens when we don't do this actually contributes to your leakage. So if we're not managing stress, stress is a very normal part of life, but we have to have ways to counter it. And so if you're at a constant state of high stress, that is going to constantly impact your pelvic health. And specifically, again, for today's video, your leakage. If those muscles don't get a chance to relax, if you never get a chance to work with them in a coordinated way with different exercises that you do for other parts of your body, then leakage is going to be something that just kind of always creeps back in, because you have to address not just the pelvic floor, but also the way in which your body holds tension. So I talk about this in a lot of my other videos, but rest and recovery absolutely have to be a part of your plan to stop leakage. And syncing is where, again, you learn those strategies and they just become a part of who you are as a person. And it's almost like the benefit of not leaking, but also the indirect benefit of just feeling good overall all the time. All right, my third and final S is sustain. And so I mentioned a little bit about this previously when we talked about sync, but sustain is really establishing whatever your flow is that you're going to be able to maintain and sustain throughout your life. And so it's interesting when I meet clients, one of the first questions they ask is, am I going to have to do this for the rest of my life? And I'm like, absolutely. If this is something that benefits your overall well being, why not? And so these are not things that you're going to learn for a few weeks and then go back to your old ways. That's why the syncing is so important, is because we're trying to establish whatever your new normal is so that you can sustain it. So if you've made some diet changes, we don't, or at least I don't teach complete elimination because that's almost impossible to sustain. We have to make modifications and changes that you feel good about and that you feel like you can continue to do even when your time with me is finished. And one thing that I always find so interesting about sustaining is that the goal is never to aim for perfection, because perfection just doesn't exist. So when you have times of high stress or events in your life that are unpredictable, there's always, when I'm working with clients, there always seems to be this time where there's this huge, like I say, crescendo, like where they start to really get in their groove, things are changing, they're feeling good. And then something out of the blue happens and they feel like there's a setback. And so I almost think this is super important as part of the journey, is because we're always going to have things in our life, extenuating circumstances that we just can't plan for. But that's when you really dig in or dig deep. Me and my son are what we like to watch Survivor. And I know the host always says dig deep. So that's what I thought of when I just said that. But that's where you get to start to pull out all of those tools that you've learned. Did I drink a little bit too much caffeine, or was I drinking more alcohol than normal over this weekend with friends, and I just didn't feel like I had the same amount of control that I've been working, for all these months prior? Maybe, am I a little constipated because I traveled and my diet has changed? Maybe, but how do we get back on track? That's what sustainability is about. It's not about perfection, but it's about what are the tools we need to get back on track? How do I get back onto my normal sleep routine? How do I start to engage, with fiber in my diet? How do I begin to get back on the water intake and the exercise plan that I would know works for my body and my pelvic floor? That's what sustainment is all about. And so those are the things that you work through, on your journey to stop leakage. And again, that's why a one size fits all exercise plan just doesn't work when it comes down to longevity. So we want to not only think about mindset shifts, we want to have that sync within what works for our body. And then lastly, we want to be able to sustain when we put all of these things together to really stop the leaks for good. All right, so those are my 3 S's that you need to be a part of any plan to stop leakage. I hope that you're really starting to see why Kegels don't work for everyone and why leak doesn't always equal weak, and what are some things that you need that are a part of this lifelong change to stop leakage that go well beyond exercise. As always, if any of this resonates with you and you want to connect with me one-on-one, don't forget to click the link in the description. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe so that you don't miss any future videos. As always, I enjoy my time with you guys, and I'll see you next time. Bye.